Greetings and salutations. This is another episode of Bedtime Stories. My name is Tracy. I'm your host. We are reading The Song of Hiawatha by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I paid $1.75 for the copy of this, and this is within the public domain. Hooray! So nobody can say I am violating some copyright crap. The next thing we're going to read is Chaucer. P.S. So we're on Canto number 18, The Song of Hiawatha. This is The Death of Kwasind. I don't like the end of this poem. It's kind of bumming me out. Far and wide among the nations spread the name and fame of Kwasind. No man dared to strive with Kwasind. No man could compete with Kwasind. But the mischievous Pukwudgies, they the envious little people, they the fairies and the pygmies, plotted and conspired against him.
"If this hateful Kwasind," said they, "if this great outrageous fellow goes on thus a little longer, tearing everything he touches, rending everything to pieces, filling all the world with wonder, what becomes of the Pukwudgies? Who will care for the Pukwudgies? He will tread us down like mushrooms, drive us all into the water, give our bodies to be eaten by the wicked Nabogs, by the spirits of the water."
So the angry little people all conspired against the strong man, all conspired to murder Kwasind. Yes, to rid the world of Kwasind, the audacious, overbearing, heartless, haughty, dangerous Kwasind. Now this wondrous strength of Kwasind, in his crown alone was seated. In his crown too was his weakness. There alone could he be wounded. Nowhere else could weapon pierce him, nowhere else could weapon harm him. Even there the only weapon that could wound him, that could slay him, was the seed cone of the pine tree, was the blue cone of the fir tree. This was Kwasind's fatal secret, known to no man among mortals. But the cunning little people, the Pukwudgies, knew the secret, knew the only way to kill him. So they gathered cones together, gathered seed cones of the pine tree, gathered blue cones of the fir tree, in the woods by Taquimana. It's terrible, I'm sorry. Brought them to the river's margin, heaped them in great piles together where the red rocks from the margin jutting overhang the river. There they lay in wait for Kwasind, the malicious little people. 'Twas an afternoon in summer. Very hot and still the air was, very smooth the gliding river, motionless the sleeping shadows, insects glistened in the sunshine, insects skated on the water, filled the drowsy air with buzzing, with the far resounding war cry. Down the river came the strong man, in his birch canoe came Kwasind, floating slowly down the current of the sluggish Taquamina. Very languid was the weather, very sleepy was the silence. From the overhanging branches, from the tassels of the birch trees, oft the spirit of sleep descended. By his airy hosts, surrounded his invisible attendants, came the spirit of sleep, Nepawin, like a burnished Dushquoneshi. Like a dragonfly, he hovered o'er the drowsy head of Kwasind. To his ear there came a murmur, as the waves upon a seashore, as of far-off trembling waters, as of winds among the pine trees, and he felt upon his forehead blows of tiny airy war clubs, wielded by slumberous legions of the spirit of sleep, Nepawin, as of someone breathing on him. And the first blow of their war clubs fell a drowsiness on Kwasind. At the second blow they smote him, motionless his paddle rested. At the third, before his vision reeled the landscape into darkness, very sound asleep was Kwasind. So he floated down the river, like a blind man, seated upright, floated down the Taquamina. It was terrible. Underneath the trembling birch trees, underneath the wooded headlands, underneath the war encampment of the pygmies, the Pukwudgies. There they stood, all armed and waiting, hurled the pine cones down upon him, struck him on his brawny shoulders, on his crown, defenseless struck him. "Death to Kwasind!" was the sudden war cry of the little people. And he sideways swayed and tumbled, sideways fell into the water, plunged beneath the sluggish water headlong as an otter plunges, and the birch canoe abandoned, drifted empty down the river. Bottom upward swerved and drifted, nothing more was seen of Kwasind. But the memory of the strong man lingered long among the people, and whenever through the forest raged and roared the wintry tempest, and the branches tossed and tumbled, creaked and groaned and split asunder, "Kwasind!" cried they. "That is Kwasind, he is gathering in his firewood."